In this video, we'll be taking a look at 2 college football games happening on September 30th, 2022, and providing you with team picks and total picks for each one of those games. So 2 picks for each game, 4 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 2 college football games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start. If you would like to gain access to our best exclusive betting picks to take your sports betting journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer anywhere from 1 betting pick a day up to 10 betting picks a day and much more. Now let's get started. Tulane versus Houston. Tulane and Houston square off for their first American Athletic Conference matchup of the season. The Green Wave head west to the Cougars for a Friday night game that will take place on September 30th. Houston is coming off a close win over Rice in last week's game, as expectations have lowered since dropping out of the top 25. Tulane comes into Week 5 after their first loss of the season. Tulane kicked off the season on a nice run. The Wave took out UMass 41-10 in their opener, then went on to dismantle Alcorn State 52-0 in Game 2. Back on September 17th versus Kansas State, Tulane kept it going with a 17-10 victory to move to 3-0 on the year. In the Southern Miss matchup, the Wave were up 17-10 at halftime, but couldn't hold on in a 27-24 loss. QB Michael Pratt put up 247 yards with a touchdown and an interception, and Tyus Spears led the rush with 22 carries for 114 yards and 2 scores. Over on the Houston side, they had some trouble with UTSA in their opener, but managed a 37-35 overtime win to escape. The next 2 games didn't go as well for the Cougars. However, first came a 33-30 overtime loss to Texas Tech, then a 48-30 loss to Kansas in Game 3. Last weekend versus Rice, the Cougars scored points in every quarter during a wild 34-27 victory. QB Clayton Tune managed 249 yards with 2 touchdowns and an interception. Tajon Henry was tops in rushing with 17 carries for 112 yards and a score. The Cougars are being outscored 131-143 this season, as they have not lived up to the hype. They were ranked inside the top 25 at the beginning of the season. After an upset win over Kansas, Tulane looked sharp as they started 3-0, but a loss versus Southern Miss last week raised some questions. The one thing that is certain through 4 games is how talented Tulane's defense is, as they are ranked inside the top 10 in all categories, including being the #1 pass defense in the country. The Wave had a bad game versus Southern Miss on Saturday, but Tulane pretty much dominated most statistical areas. The Wave put up 451 yards of offense with 26 first downs, holding the Eagles to 253 yards and 13 first downs. Tulane had an interception returned for a touchdown, which didn't help matters. As for Houston, they did a solid job themselves with 427 total yards and 19 first downs in their win over Rice. The Cougars did commit 10 penalties, however, so they'll need to be more disciplined here. Should be a fun matchup. With Houston's offense turning the ball over 6 times this year, Tulane will have a great chance to cover in Texas. I see the fans going home unhappy, so the Tulane Green Wave to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. On offense, Houston ranks 64th, averaging 5.6 yards per play, and Tulane ranks 66th, averaging 5.5 yards per play. Defensively, Houston also allows 5.6 yards per play, which is 69th, while Tulane has allowed just 4.1 yards per play, which is 10th. I expect the Tulane offense to be able to move the ball at their regular pace against Houston, but the Cougars' offense is better than their defense, so I expect them to have more success against Tulane highly ranked defense than previous opponents. Both quarterbacks in this game can make big plays, but they are also not above making a turnover that could lead to points going the other way. All 4 of Houston's games have been well over this number. Tulane was just barely under it last week and way under 2 weeks ago, but that was at Kansas State, where games consistently grind down like that. I do not expect a track meet necessarily, but the over seems comfortable enough here. With both squads putting up more than 30 points per game so far, this total is low. Over the projected total is our full game total pick. UTSA versus Middle Tennessee State. The 2-2 Roadrunners of UTSA take to the road to take on 3-1 Middle Tennessee State in a Conference USA battle on Friday night. UTSA comes in off of a blowout win over Texas Southern at home, while the Blue Raiders come off of arguably the biggest win in school history with a 45-31 road win over Miami. The UTSA Roadrunners will be looking to build on a 52-24 win over Texas Southern to improve to 2-2 on the year. Frank Harris has thrown for 918 yards, 6 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions on 68.3% passing, while also posting 131 rushing yards as well this season. Brendan Brady leads UTSA with 157 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. Zachary Franklin leads UTSA's receiving group with 26 grabs for 306 yards and 3 scores, while Joshua Cephas has 298 receiving yards and DeCorian Clark has 200 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns as well this season. On defense, Jamal Ligon and Rivor Hermanson each have a team-high 22 total tackles, while Brandon Brown has a team-high 1.5 sacks this season. The Middle Tennessee Blue Raiders come into this one off of their first win over a ranked team in program history, downing Miami 45-31 last time out. Chase Cunningham has thrown for 592 yards, 4 touchdowns, and a pair of interceptions on 72.6% passing, while Frank Peasant has rushed for a team-high 218 yards and 5 touchdowns. Isaiah Gathings has a team-high 20 catches for 156 yards, while Yusuf Ali and Jalen Lane each have 100-plus receiving yards this season. On defense, Teldick Ross has a team-high 25 total tackles, including 15 solo tackles, while Jordan Ferguson has 3 sacks as part of Middle Tennessee's 12 sacks as a group this season. The Blue Raiders also have 4 interceptions this season. UTSA is 13-5 against the spread in their last 18 road games and 7-3 against the spread in their last 10 conference games, while the over is 4-0 in their last 4 games following a win. Middle Tennessee is 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 games overall and 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 home games, while the over is 4-1 in their last 5 games following a win. The Blue Raiders just knocked off Miami on the road as 3-touchdown underdogs, and now return home for a date with UTSA. This is almost the perfect scenario for the Roadrunners to start Conference USA play and presents a great sell-high spot for their opponent. The non-conference slate was rife with difficult opposition for UTSA, and it presented them with a brutal 3-game stretch. Even though Middle Tennessee's offense is humming, the Blue Raiders still don't stand on the talent level of Texas or Houston, and their offense isn't as hard to prepare for as a team like Army. Furthermore, UTSA's 2-2 record is a bit deceiving considering the Roadrunners lost in overtime to Houston and finished that game with a post-game win expectancy of over 90%. Now, Frank Harris and company should relax against a now overvalued team in this spot. UTSA's offense is averaging more yards per play than the Blue Raiders, and the Roadrunners have also been far more efficient on third downs, converting at nearly a 59% clip. On paper, Middle Tennessee's defense has been serviceable, allowing 5 yards per play this season. However, the Blue Raiders' stats are likely inflated from taking on Colorado State and FCS Tennessee State. UTSA has been an excellent road team under Jeff Traylor, posting a 13-5 against the spread record in its last 18 road games. The Roadrunners are also 7-3 against the number in their last 10 conference games. In what could be the biggest letdown spot of the week, Middle Tennessee is a team I'm looking to fade on Friday, so the UTSA Roadrunners to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Both quarterbacks have been doing extremely well as Frank Harris has a 7-1 touchdown to interception ratio in his previous 3 games, while adding a rushing touchdown to the fray, while Cade Cunningham has thrown 5 touchdowns and 2 interceptions with a pair of rushing touchdowns in his last 2 games. Both programs have solid kickers as senior kicker Jared Sackett is 5 for 5 from inside of 40 yards and 7 of 7 on extra points for UTSA, while sophomore kicker Zeke Rankin is 3 for 3 on field goal attempts and 8 for 8 on extra points for the Blue Raiders. These defenses have struggled against the passing attack as UTSA is giving up 225 passing yards per game, while Middle Tennessee is allowing 249.8 passing yards per game this season. The over has hit in each of the last 7 road games for the Roadrunners, while it also hit in the last 4 Friday games for the Blue Raiders. UTSA's defense is not nearly as sharp as they were last season when they held Middle Tennessee State to just 13 points in a 27-13 win at home over the Blue Raiders. They have been much more offensively oriented this season and expect that trend to continue in this matchup. The Roadrunners' passing offense should exploit the poor pass defense of the Blue Raiders and put up nearly 40 points or more in this one. The total will be eclipsed easily as the 91st ranked UTSA defense will be exploited by the Blue Raiders to the tune of 20-plus points in this one. Middle Tennessee State should be able to throw the ball on the Roadrunners and should also be able to move the ball on the ground against one of the wart-run defenses in the country. Over the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.